Oh, you're an entrepreneur? Oh, you're a real estate investor? Oh, you're trying to learn from those who did it? Well, come into the lab then. Put your white coat on, gloves on, notepad, and let's build, y'all. Real estate experiment. What is happening, y'all? Today, I have the pleasure of having Tim Stout across from me. I was a little bit rude. I had my camera off. So if you're listening to this, we are now ready to rock. We got Tim in the building representing Georgia. It was a pleasure. I just discovered that Tim is from Newnan. Am I correct, Tim?
Yes, sir. Newnan, Georgia. I've been here for about 12 years.
Solid, man. Well, welcome to the lab. It's a pleasure to have you. I'm really interested to hearing about, first of all, I love that your background is, I was an athlete as well, and I love the mindset, the training that goes, and I want people to hear that transition that took place and how you were able to take that into your real estate endeavors now, because I know there's a lot of elements that, when we get into real estate and any business, that's leadership, mindset, team, commitment, and obviously you've been able to produce from what my team provided, it was 400 properties you guys, Tim and Associates, closed on in the last year. Am I correct on that? Transactions?
403. There were 300 in Newnan and 103 in my Tennessee team.
Well, listen, you don't do that by just sitting around and not having a game plan and not being a leader and putting yourself out there and really executing. So first of all, I want to welcome you to the lab, and then I want to kind of get right into it. Talk about, in a year where we've seen a lot of, challenges for a lot of folks, how are you able to bring that kind of high level of execution? What can you say was the ingredient and to help you and your team get there? Maybe give us a little bit of background, because I'm sure it wasn't always like that.
No, the challenging year that a lot of people had in real estate, we didn't experience that. We've had a pretty good year because a lot of people are moving out of Atlanta to come to where we're at. So we had an influx. Our biggest issue is we don't have a lot of sellers. But one thing that we did that really set us apart is when the shutdowns were happening and when it was okay for people to relax, to not work, to not focus. And they would convince themselves and tell themselves, well, we can't prospect today. We can't call today. People don't want to be bothered. They're going through things. And that's what they tell themselves, to sort of allow themselves to feel better about not doing the work. And we showed up to work every day. We made our calls, everything that we normally do. We just kept knocking it out, and it definitely big reward this year.
Okay, so we're gonna get to that, but I'm gonna take a step back. Tim Stout from the beginning. So we talked a little bit about your background. I want to talk about that transition from where you were before. I believe you were in coaching, you were a fighter, you were, a trainer, and obviously you've been very, very well disciplined, right? So how did that transition go from literally starting real estate from scratch? What elements did you take from your past that you feel helped you get to where you are today?
Great question. Definitely work ethic's the big one. I remember the last fight I had was in New Mexico, and I ended up losing the fight. And in my mind, I decided I was done. I was mentally done. I was tired of fighting. I was tired of doing all that work. And things happened like they did. So I knew I wanted to be in sales for the fact that I've always been the hardest worker in the room. It's in my genetics to work hard, to learn more, to do better. So I wanted to be in sales, and I didn't know what I wanted to sell. And, I ran an MMA gym, me and my wife ran the MMA gym. And when I was teaching, I had a group of ladies come in one day that were real estate agents, and I seen them working out, and I put it together that I would be able to outwork them. And I was texting my wife during the class, like, I'm gonna sell real estate. And that's where it started about 8 years ago.
So Tim, hold on. So, you see this stuff all the time. People do different things. What was the thing that triggered that said, I want to go into this avenue? Was it and I think you talked about this before offline. It was, something to do with, being rewarded for the extra work that you put in, but was that it? Was that the thing that made you feel like, hey, real estate is the tool and the engine that I can use to get the work that I put in? Was that it?
Absolutely. I wanted to be in sales because I wanted to get paid for what I did, not what I was supposed to do. And if I was going to get paid a commission, I wanted to get paid commission on the biggest asset anybody would ever sell. Unless you're selling multi-million-dollar businesses, you're not going to beat real estate. So I decided to get into it for that reason. If I wanted to make a lot of money because I had a lot of work ethic, and to me that pointed towards real estate.
Okay, so tell us, if I'm a new agent and I'm listening to this, I'm pretty hyped right now since, okay, I want to be like Tim, right? But what is that? Okay, let's say I have the motivation, let's say I have the hustle, I have the grit. What does that, how do I strategically put that motivation and hunger into a plan? What would be next for you, as far as, do I join a team? Do I, experiment as much as I can in different avenues? Like, what was that first step for you, so that if someone's listening, they're like, okay, maybe I can take this approach with all the hunger that I have?
The first step for me was not a team. There was not a lot of teams in the area. If I was to mentor a new agent, I would definitely recommend them getting on a team. The future of real estate sales is team. It's there because you can have one person who is good at football playing the Tampa Bay Bucks, and those guys are specialists. The kicker only kicks, the quarterback only does quarterback, the receiver only catches. And that's the way that my real estate team is. We're about 20 people in the Newnan team, and we're 5 people in the Tennessee team. And we have 10 buyers agents. We have administration. We have contract to close. We have listing specialists. And we even have a agent success manager whose entire job is to make sure our agents succeed. He's almost like a coach and a recruiter. And that's super important because you need leads, you need leverage, and you need accountability. And you're going to get all of that on a team. And I would suggest anybody to go to a team. Just go to a team where the team leader you can respect, and they have a winning record and a good positive feeling into the real estate community.
I like that. I want to throw a wrench in there because I'm very curious as athletes, having that background of like weaknesses. And I've heard you say this before, where you hire out your weaknesses. And I love what you said about the specialist. But let's take a step back. Is that always the case? And I'm wondering this because I'm thinking, like, when I used to play basketball, it was like, okay, you got to work on your left, right? Because I'm a righty. Now, in business, is it different, Tim? Do I not work on my left and look for a lefty? Like, sir, I'm very curious if I'm listening to this. Is that the approach in the landscape of business and real estate? Is that how I should look at it, or should I still work on my left?
I think that's different. If you being an athlete, and if you are a lead person, you're probably going to want to start your own team. So you definitely need to work on your weaknesses. Used to, the people would think when they were on a team, they didn't make any money. They run around and the team leader got rich. But now you have to be so competitive with splits. I have agents that work for me who make north of $200,000 a year, and they have zero expenses, zero. My team, I have to pay nearly $30,000 a month out. That is a big expense. That's a scary expense for someone who is thinking about being a team leader. But some people want to march to a different drum. And if those people want to march to a different drum, they need to create their own band. And then I would think they need to work where they're weak. But I think the strongest asset of a leader is to realize where you're weak, because leaders and athletes, we don't want to realize we're weak. We don't want to say we can't shoot a layup. I don't want to say I can't throw my jab like I'm supposed to. I don't want to say that, but as a true leader, you've got to be able to admit that and work on it, or do like I did. I hired it out. I am a very big go-getter. I am not an attention to detail person. So my first hire was someone who will dot every I and cross every T and keep me within the line so I can run as fast as I can.
Okay, so if I'm a new agent, and I love how you kind of you separated those out, because I think there's you do have to work on your weaknesses, and it sounds like you still have to go through it, and then when you're at a level to lead, understand where your blind spots are and kind of fill those gaps. So new agent coming out 2020, right, or 2021, I'm getting familiar with now. We're what are we, couple 20 something days in. So I'm new, and because I get this question a lot, and I'm curious hearing it from you. I just want to hear it again. Should I join a team, or should I learn a lot by myself? Then again, and we're thinking about the high. I'm thinking like a guy or gal who's thinking of maybe like creating something bigger than them in the future. So with that in mind, because that's who our listeners are, we're entrepreneurs or entrepreneur-minded, and we want to get into real estate. Should we learn the ropes through a team first, then go out of our own, or start on our own first and then create a team? Again, hindsight is 2020, but what are your thoughts on that? On those two scenarios?
I'm glad I didn't start out on the team. I got to learn everything the hard way, really good lessons. I was forced to hire coaches. I was forced to do trainings. I was forced to read a lot of books. I was forced to do a lot of things that caused me to learn. And still to this day, I mainly hire new agents because I don't like agents who think they can do it on their own, who think they figured it out, because they're dealing with their ways. And there's an 86% fail rate in real estate. So people don't realize 86 out of 100 people who get into it, by year two, are out of it. They're not even doing it part-time. And it's a lot harder than people think. But I think if you're the guy that wants to do it and build a team, I would do it alone. I would go out and surround yourself with people that are doing good, hire coaches the second you're in profitability, and invest back into yourself.
I love that.
If I was interviewing you for the team and I got a hint that you wanted to do your own team, I wouldn't hire you, because I do not want to build somebody to compete against me. I mean, that's ridiculous in a smaller market. I don't want to make you a sales ninja for me and you had to fight later. We're competing over things. So I wouldn't do that. And there's some people who will, they don't care, but I'm in a small market.
That's really interesting. I've never really heard someone say that, and I love how transparent you are about that. But you're making a very, very fine point. You're looking for. It's almost like you're saying you're looking for a team player, because it's like you're looking for that, to create that machine, the cog in the wheel, and it's important. I think it's interesting because if you listen to a guy like Gary Vaynerchuk, are you familiar with him? Yeah. I'm sure you are. A very motivational guy, very successful guy. He has an interesting approach. And again, I lead a team of 12 in my agency, and I was just having this conversation as well. Like, I hire a lot of entrepreneurs, and so I don't mind the side hustle and stuff like that, as long as you're locked in and bought into our vision. But it's interesting because I've heard Gary, for example, say that, I want you one day to spread your wings, and maybe go off. And again, maybe we're operating at a very different level, because what you said is you're local, right? And again, he's bringing talent from all over the place. But I think it's very interesting that you were able to make that call and say, you know what? No, I'm looking for a person who wants to be part of something greater. Did I get that right?
Absolutely. And Gary Vee, he's a titan. We're humans. He's so big, he would have to really mess up to fail.
Yeah.
And we're, running normal to big businesses, one failure, you're done. So, and I'm not saying I won't talk to those guys. I even mentor people who want to, in my market. Like, I sort of try to help them. I'm a real estate coach too. I have 10 coaching clients, and I coach them, and they're not in my market, of course, but I'm working with them to grow, and I want people to grow. And it's okay that if I give you advice because I want to see you succeed, and you succeed on your own, is great. But if I give you the blueprint, that's different. If I give you my blueprint, and that's what I try to stay away from.
I'm so glad you're saying that, because I don't think a lot of people are that upfront about it, and that's very good to hear and refreshing. That's why we like to have guys like you in the lab and lift up the hood, because I think it's important when you're building a business and operation, and it's a competitive market. So that's good to hear. So I'm curious, you talked a lot about the mindset, right? And I hear it a lot, in the execution as well. So what is that message that you're sending to the team, right? Because I was just on a call today, and someone was talking about culture. And so clearly you've been able to build some very successful team and people who are in alignment and see the vision. And what does that look like for you? And I want to get to the coaching in a second, because it seems like you have a very strong coaching background. But what is that culture message that you would say to your team every day, or like motto that you guys live by, that really you feel brings everybody together?
The one thing I'll say about culture will be created by accident or built on purpose. So you have to be, as far as a business owner and a team leader, you have to be very diligent and focused on your culture. Last year, I went through a big transition. I lost 4 of my biggest top producers. And it was a culture thing. I decided the team needed to grow. I started off with what I call the Navy SEAL principle, is where I had people doing 30 to 40 deals, people killing it. I taught them how to kill it. And when it was time to scale, it was harder to scale because you only have so many people who can do that many deals. And when I started hiring more people, those guys wasn't out for the team anymore. They were out for themselves. So most of them self-realized it wasn't the place they needed to be anymore, and they left. And I was okay with it, because with the culture has to be that there's nobody more important than the lowest guy on the totem pole. And it's our job as being higher on the totem pole as far as sales to lift that guy up. If we succeed together, we're going to succeed so much further. You can go fast alone, but you can go further together. And that's sort of what we're doing. When I've got a group of 10 agents out in the field and they're doing really high level work, they're creating good rapport. They're doing exactly what's supposed to happen with the other agent, with their clients. And every time we do that, when another agent sees a Tim Stout and Associates contract come across their desk, they're like, "Oh, I work with so-and-so, great to work with. We need to work with that guy again." And it's so competitive. But when we get people who are in their own mind, they think they're more important than they are. It's time to start scooting them out the door, because they're going to destroy the culture. Gotcha.
So Tim, you have a great coaching, right? Coaching, it seems like you've done it at a lot of different levels. What do you think is it that brings you always to coaching? It sounds like I heard you like to work with the youth as well, and then you were coaching on the MMA, and then you had coaching now in real estate. Why coaching, and why do you think it's so important? Why do you resonate with it so much? It seems like it's one of your core values.
It definitely is. I wouldn't be where I'm at today as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, as a human, without coaches. One of my first coaches, he was a boxing coach. He saw something in me that nobody else ever saw. And that kept me from going down the path that a lot of my friends went down, which is not a good path. And so that always helped me. And then once I got into, I worked in detentions. I've always been the number 2 guy. We're talking about me being the team leader, but until I got into real estate, I was always the number 2 guy. I was the second in command at the gyms. I was the second in command at the detention centers. And then when I got into real estate, there was nobody I would follow. So I had to become that person. But when I got into working detention centers, there was a guy come in, and he took me under his wing, and he was the first person to see something in me that didn't involve hurting somebody else. And it's these coaches that pulled this out of me. And in detention, I realized the impact I could have on somebody's life who never had a positive male role model in their life, females and males. So I could be that person to them. And then when I got into fighting, I got into coaching, and I have a unique way to coach, because everything I teach, someone who has been doing it for 20 years can learn it, and a kindergartner could learn it, because I break it down in super small doses. And I like to use a lot of analogies, and a lot of people can learn that way.
I want to ask you 2 questions around the coaching. What do you think is people's biggest misconception up here? And if you're listening to this, I'm tapping my head. And I want to hear that within your years of coaching at all levels. Is there one that stands out at you?
It's always mindset. People thinking they can't do it or don't want to do it. And what makes you good at absolutely anything? And it can be your business, it can be my business, it can be fighting. You have to do the boring stuff, the mundane stuff, day in and day out, over and over and over. The reason I got good on phone calls is because I did a couple hundred a day for years. The reason I could handle objections, because I got objections every day for hundreds of days. The reason I can do a price reduction is because I had to do them over and over. but it's the boring stuff. Now people get into the business and the first thing they want to do is hire an ISA because they don't want to call nobody. You don't hire an ISA because you don't want to call nobody. You hire an ISA because you have higher dollar producing activities to do. But I'm telling these agents, there's not a lot of higher dollar producing activities to do than contact clients. I mean, showing and closing, but the hardest part is connecting with them and getting face to face. And that happens on the phone. And that's the first thing a young agent or a new team leader wants to do. And I think that's usually a mistake because it's the boring stuff that gets you to the finish line. Yeah,
no, I couldn't agree more with you. Success is boring. It comes from small, minute tasks. It's not sexy. I think the end result is sexy, right? Mm-hmm. Or looks sexy. And that's what, one of my favorite books by MJ DeMarco, it talks about that, a lot of people, The Millionaire Fast Lane, if you're listening, it talks about, people see the event, not the process, right? And that's what we're being marketed a lot too. Even yourself, right? You look again, killing it. Oh, that looks super great. I want to be like Tim. Yeah, but what about the time that Tim was making all those calls? What about those rejections? What about all the, that goes into that. That's part of the recipe. And so I think that's interesting. Let's talk about coaching for a second, because I think we're we have some similarities there. And I haven't done it at the highest level like you have, but I have seen people, literally I've trained people, and what I thought was fascinating at a young age is when I was training people, I would always ask them, hey, how many reps do you think you could do, right, as a trainer? And they always give me this number, and what I would always do is trick them, right? Like if I said, if you said 15, then okay, we're at 15, I'm saying we're at 9, right? And they have no idea. And then I asked them, how many do you think you did? And I'm like, we're just 15, right? When it's 14, they're like, oh, it's getting harder. I'm like, no, you did 23. I'm like, no, you didn't. Like, yeah, like I wasn't counting. Like, I was delaying the count, and it's just so fascinating because it is the mindset. Like it's literally up here, and I wish I would have, I think at a young age I started reading books definitely, but now I'm always all into this personal development stuff, and I just think it's the most important thing. Like if you start up here, you can just do anything, and so I find that fascinating. But as far as the fulfillment goes, Tim, what's the most fulfilling, memorable thing that you've heard from one of your someone that you've coached say to you, or that kind of like really stuck out at you that makes you keep going when it comes to being an example or continuing to coach people? Is there any memorable thing that stands out that you've heard from someone say to you that's making you feel like, okay, this is worth every coaching that I've ever done, or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, like coaching my agents and coaching, even when I was working with the detention center, coaching with the kids, 7-8 years later, I would get invitations to be the best man at their wedding. And they would be like, you changed my life. And then, coaching my fathers, it's the same thing. I know the road they were on, but we were able to corral them in and turn them into great humans with a great work ethic. And, they may want to punch people, but that's half the people in the country, half the humans want to punch people, and only like 1% are capable of doing it, like physically doing it. Like people think they can hit somebody, but it's different to hit somebody. You've got to have a different mindset. And, like with my real estate clients, it's the same thing. I remember the first time that one of my guys hit 6 figures in 1 month. And he goes, Coach, you have changed my entire life. He goes, you've let me know what is open to happen. And it's like the blinders just come off of him, and now he kills it.
Tim, it's so fascinating because I think it is just that. I think when someone either sees someone that they're like do something, but then even more importantly, they see that it's possible for themselves. Like that's that breakthrough mindset of like, it's actually possible. I think sometimes you look at it from a distance and like, oh yeah, that's happening to them. But when it happens to you, I think that's why I love the whole personal development thing, because it's that powerful where it's like, I think there's a quote out there that says a stretched mind can never go back to its old dimensions or something like that. And it's that experience, right? That makes them believe that, okay, I can do this again. I can repeat it. So man, it's so fascinating. Good for you for being the catalyst to those changes. And I commend you for that. That's really awesome. So let's talk about real estate, because we're in the Atlanta market. or Georgia market. Obviously, you're cover, but let's talk about it for a second while we're here. Let's give the listener some game. What is happening here in Atlanta that from your again experience and expertise of with all that's going on, people moving in, like let's talk about that for a second. What are the most notable things that you're seeing right now in the marketplace when it comes to the greater Atlanta area? Is there any insights as far as movement that you can kind of share with us listeners here if you're not from Atlanta?
We're having a lot of people from out of state move in, a lot of people from California. We got a lot of people from New York, a lot of people from downtown Atlanta moving down. One thing that COVID did is it let the world know that you can work from home, and it let every employer know that I can let people work from home. I don't have near as many costs, and they're just as busy. They're doing just as much work. So these guys can work from anywhere, and a lot of them are choosing out of the center area, out in the suburbs, and that's one big thing. Atlanta's growing because of the movie industry. I mean, we was talking earlier about Pinewood, Trilith. And then we have, there's a big one right in the middle of downtown Atlanta now. About that old Army base, Air Force base.
Yeah. Not Warner Bros. Not Warner.
I can't think that.
Not Tyler Perry, is it?
Yeah, Tyler Perry Studios.
Tyler Perry Studios.
Yeah, he opened that up, and that's huge. And so we get a lot of people coming in with that. I've got a client now that works for Lucasfilms. And so there's a lot of influx coming in from that. And the Atlanta metro area is a great area. We get all 4 seasons. We're very, very close to a big, huge, probably the biggest airport in the country. So it's super convenient, but I can still live 45 minutes south of the city, and I live on 5 acres, and I can't see my closest neighbor. There's a lot to offer here.
Absolutely, and I recently heard, I think, is it Microsoft that's being built out in I think they're bringing around 1,500 employees. Microsoft, they built something out recently. I can't pinpoint it. I have to check on the map there, but I know that was another development. And yeah, there's a lot going on. I think it's a very exciting time to be in this market. And as people look at the South, when you're looking at Florida, you're looking at Georgia, I think there's a lot of areas. And to your point, I think the South there, Fayette County and all that, I think that's, and it's very accessible to the downtown, but then again, you get a little bang for your buck on the outskirts and a lot of land. That's for sure.
Our average price point in Coweta is like $270. So I mean, you could buy a bunk apartment in Atlanta for that. It's in most times. So we're at a very competitive price point too.
Got it. So what are your, I guess, as far as projections, do you see anything, this crazy wave of 2020, do you see that kind of bleeding into the beginning of the quarter, second quarter, third? Like, what are we looking at as far as, not that, I'm not going to you say that you work for the analytics, but I guess I'm just curious as what you're seeing in the marketplace out of curiosity.
I think 2021 will be a very, very successful year. Our only issue is going to be a listing inventory. Normally in Coweta County, we carry 700-800 listings. Right now, we're below 300. Fayette County, the same thing. Everywhere and this is all of my clients nationally. There is such a listing deficit. We can't find properties to sell. And on every property, as soon as it gets listed, there's 7 offers on it, above asking price, no appraisal, cash offers. It's ridiculous. So I think that, hopefully this COVID thing will start straightening out halfway through, probably spring or summer. And I think people will be less scared. They'll be a little more normal. And I think more listings will hit the market. And I think as long as interest rates stay low and inflation don't go through the roof, I think we're going to have a record year.
That's awesome. What are you seeing is next for Tim and Associates? What's next for you guys? We talked about mindset. We talked about growing the team, director of operations. You have some specialists in your corner. What do you think is next for you, Tim, and your team as you're looking to serve the marketplace and at the same time grow your business?
I want to end up having 20 buyers agents this year. I want to double my team this year. I want to do probably 400 transactions just with the Newnan team. I want to focus on investing. 14 doors right now. I want to probably bring on another 7 to 8. this year. So I want to do a lot of investing, and I want to teach my agents how to invest. I think for you to be in real estate sales and not be investing in real estate is the worst decision you can make in your life, because you get the opportunity to see every property before almost everybody else sees it. So it's your opportunity, because in 10 years, I heard an investor tell me the other day, I was, talking to him about prices and all this stuff. And he goes, Tim, I've been buying real estate for 30 years. And he goes, the biggest mistake you're going to think of in 10 years is I should have bought everything I looked at, everything. He goes, it don't matter if you overpaid or not. He goes, in 10 years, it's going to be worth more than it was, and somebody else paid it off. And I'm like, okay,
yeah,
that makes sense.
I love that. And I'm so glad you say that, because I actually got my license to invest, and I obviously got a chance to partner locally. And with some investors and learn through them, and with some real estate development. But I couldn't agree more. To anybody who's listening, our listeners, I think getting access is key, but then also getting paid at closing. That's the coolest thing, I think. Like, you're literally representing yourself, which I think is one of the coolest things you can do. And I have access first. That's one of the last, we just closed on a property this past month where I saw it when it hit the market, and I had my license, and I was able to pull the trigger on it. And I know how to structure a contract to make it appealing, to put yourself first. And that was a treat. And so, I would encourage anybody. And to be honest, when I see it as well, I want to buy all the real estate in the world. And so kudos to you for being well along the way. Out of curiosity, is there a specific asset class or kind of single family homes? Are you looking at apartments, or what kind of properties are you looking at, Tim?
Majority are single family. I own one duplex that I'm owner financing to one of my agents.
Nice.
And I have a quadplex that I'm partnered with one of my agents. So I try to structure deals with them for their benefit of owning real estate, but it also just another way that I can help them and grow their life. Because real estate is going to, eventually real estate is going to be really easy for me and you to make offers on our computer, to do walkthroughs. The real estate agents who don't bring great value will go to the wayside. So my job is to train them with great value, to make sure their bets are hedged if something does happen with the market or with real estate in general.
I love it. Real quick fire round before we drop off here, Tim. What is the best habit that you believe serves you on your day-to-day basis?
I get up at 4:20 every morning. I hit my workout first thing. I'm in the office before everybody. I get my stuff done before the first person walks in the office.
I love that. I'm a miracle morning guy. I don't know if you ever read the book by Hal Elrod. It's a great routine. It's how to basically do everything before 8 a.m. You'd appreciate it, actually. It's a savers. It's a moment of silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. You do that, you bang it out in the morning. I wake up at 4:30 as well. And it's just fascinating. It's quiet. You get the job done. And guys, success leaves clues. It's right in front of you here. So that's really, really neat. What is the best tool that helps you excel throughout your day? It could be anything, notepad, application, anything that you feel is a catalyst for your execution.
I think it's social media, and not because of, I get a lot of leads from social media, but not because of that reason. When I do something, social media holds me accountable. I've got a pretty big following, so when I do a video, and they know every Monday is going to drop, every Wednesday this one's going to drop, so it holds me accountable to make sure that the boring stuff gets done.
Love that. Us as well. So definitely same cloth there. As far as is there any, if you were to pick, I should say this, if you were going to pick a superpower to have right now, what would that superpower be for you to excel through your day-to-day operations?
Cloning.
Who are you going to clone? Yourself?
If I get the 20 in me, I would start all the way.
I love that. Best response. I love it. I would probably clone my manager. I wish my manager, like the manager I have, I would clone her 12 times over. And she's just a rock star. And I asked that too, because you do a lot of hiring too. And that's another skill set, and finding the right talent and all that. But that's a good one. All right, there. Last but not least, where can the people find out more about you, Tim, and again, get a chance to maybe connect with you. It sounds like you're the plug of the South. So how can people connect more with you and what your team is doing?
At the Tim Stout is my one of my Facebook pages and Instagram, and Tim Stout and Associates is the business page, and on TikTok Moab Stout, which I just do fighting stuff there. So, but it's pretty neat. It's got actually I've got several videos with almost 1 million views. People love to see the self-defense stuff.
What's the TikTok called one more time?
Moab Stout, MOABSTOUT.
Nice. We'll definitely check that out, man. Look at you, man. Social media as well, enthusiast as well, and a practitioner. So just like that, guys, we appreciate it. We'll definitely include that in the show notes. If you're driving, keep your hands on the wheel. And just like that, we are out, y'all.